It is a pleasure to introduce our guest speakers today. Because the world headquarters for the organization is here in Orlando. Lloyd Sirkin is the director of development for Clean the World. She has over 20 years' experience in donor relations and with not-for-profit organizations. She is based in Atlanta. She gets down here quite frequently to work with the headquarters office. Our other speaker is Oscar Gonzalez, who started 13 years ago when Sharon Supper created in the world. And they're here today to tell us about their extraordinary program, which now has global impact. So please welcome our speakers today.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me say what an honor and privilege it is to be here at Rotary Club. And I just, you guys inspire me. And I just think I want to give you guys a round of applause for making a difference in the world all these years. So thank you very, very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. That has been amazing. So, in 2009, I was working for a network, a multi-level marketing company. Was living up in Altamont. And Sean Cypher was actually my nephew. And at the time, he was a VP in sales and traveled quite a bit. And during that time, and if I can take you back to 2009, 2008, going into 2009, the economy wasn't that great. The banks were being bailed out, the automakers were being bailed out, everybody else was going, where's my bailout? And because of his travel, he wanted to start his own little business. And so everything he called me on, he said, well, what do you think about a restaurant? And I was like, well, Sean, restaurant's a tough business. There's one like on every corner. Some of them are closing. And if you want to see the kids, you're going to have to hire them to work in the restaurant if you want to see them. And he said, well, what do you think about a barbershop? I'm like, Sean, if you're not a barber, and at that time I was living at Crane's Roost. There's a Embassy Suites up there. And so my balcony faced their service entrance. And I remember saying to him, back then I used to watch a show called The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch. And he would bring on entrepreneurs to tell their story on how they got this great idea and they made it happen. Like the girl that created Spanx, the guy that created Turbo Tab, were all ideas that they got and they just went after it and made it happen. And so I remember saying, Sean, we need something that's never been done before, or something that improves a current product out in the market. And that's when he said, well, what do you think they do with the soap and shampoo when you check out of a hotel? And I said, well, I think they throw it away because they can't leave it in the rooms. And he's like, man, that seems like such a waste, And, he was in Minnesota, 30 below, having a couple of drinks, And I just said, well, yeah, hold on, let me look it up. So I looked it up and I just looked up recycled soap. And nobody recycled soap. And there was, sites that tell you how to make it. There's all kinds of fancy soaps out there. And he said, interesting. He's like, keep looking. I'm going to call the front desk. And so he called the front desk and the front desk said, oh, sir, no, we throw that away. We throw that away. And then he called some others. They all said the same thing. And so he started to do the math. And at that time, there was 4.6 million hotel rooms, I believe, in the United States, that we estimate we're throwing away about 1 million bars of soap every single day, and it was going into landfills. So now we knew where we can get the soap, and then we said, okay, well, how can we recycle it? So we did some research, and we found a way to recycle it, which is called rebatching, which is what the manufacturers use when a bar of soap falls off the line. They do a surface cleaning of the bar of soap, they grind it down, melt it down, form a new bar of soap. And that's soap recycling. And then we said, okay, well, we're pretty fortunate here in the US, right? I mean, we don't grow up with a lack of hygiene products. And, me myself, I was raised in Hoboken, New Jersey, single Puerto Rican mom, on and off unemployment, but in my house, there was always two things. There was always rice and beans, and there was always soap. Matter of fact, in my grandmother's house, there was soap that I couldn't use. It was a decorative, seashells and flowers, and it was in plastic, and she'd be like, oh. So in my mind, I didn't think people didn't have access to soap, something so basic. And then we're throwing it away. And so, well, the next thing you know, when we started looking up who can use soap, because, now we're thinking, well, we can launch this as a nonprofit and help people. So who can use soap? And so when we did the research, we discovered a study that was done in Bangladesh in the 80s, where there was a high mortality of diarrheal disease and pneumonia. Number 1 and number 2 killer of children under the age of 5. And the study showed that if you give them soap and education on how and when to wash their hands with soap, we can reduce the spread by up to 65%. So that was the big aha moment. That's when we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Next thing you know, we're in a one-car garage. We went to Sears and we bought 4 10 cookers. We bought a meat grinder. And basically the process is we would do a surface cleaning of the bar of soap with fancy equipment like potato peeler. And we'd take off the top layer and then we would grind it down with the meat grinder, because soap is porous and bacteria can get in that bar of soap. So we grind it down, put it in the cookers, cook it for 57 minutes at 212 degrees, pour it into rich soap molds, let it harden overnight. And then we were making 500 of the ugliest bars of soap you'll ever want to see in that one-car garage. And so during that time, it was funny because during that time was when Breaking Bad was a popular show on TV. And so now you got these Puerto Ricans in the garage surrounded by soap. You could smell the scent of soap down the street. We got the reggaeton going. And so here comes the sheriff, right? And he goes down this way, then he goes down this way. And I said, Sean, you better go talk to the sheriff, because he thinks there's something shady going on. So he went out, talked to the sheriff, and the look on the sheriff's face was just classic. Like, he looked at him because he said, yeah, we're recycling soap to save lives. And the cop just looked at him like, I have heard it all now. And so that's how we got started, in a one-car garage with 25 hotels here in Orlando. And at the beginning, I was kind of like the skeptic. I kept saying, Sean, there's got to be a reason why this hasn't been done before. I mean, all the hotels wanted to do it. It all made sense to them. And surely when you meet with the general managers of the Peabody or at Disney, they could tell us why this wasn't going to work, but they all wanted it. And so, our growth just took off from there, especially once Disney came on board and some others. From that media release, hotels started calling. And so our issue really wasn't, can we get hotels to participate in our program? It was really, how do we keep up with the growth? The other thing that happens is that we ran out of money. And being a new nonprofit and a bunch of corporate guys, we didn't really know anything about nonprofit. So we were kind of learning from the industry, kind of learning as we go. And I remember we spent 2 weeks writing a grant to the Bill Gates Foundation, because that's when Bill had announced that he was going to give away his fortune, so on and so forth. We spent 2 weeks writing a grant. He turned us down in 6 hours and basically said, don't apply for 3 years. What we didn't know was that for certain grants, you have to be in existence in order to apply for those grants. So once we ran out of money, we went back to the hotels and said, would you guys be willing to make a financial contribution for this program? And the hotels all said, absolutely. And so we created a program that not only a small business traveler hotel can implement, but also a 5-star diamond resort can implement with marketing and branding and good customer service. And that's what launched us. And so fast forward to today, we've recycled and distributed over 70 million bars of soap to about 127 countries. We have diverted 35 million pounds of waste. We have distributed 50 million hygiene kits to the homeless population. We also have shower trailers that provide showers to the homeless. We've done about 47,000 showers since 2017. So this program really was the hospitality industry, the housekeepers who come from these same countries, they understand it. And at the same time, they see how much gets thrown away. And so I think that's why the housekeepers and the hotels have gravitated to our program. And so fast forward today, there's been a reduction in these hygiene related illnesses by 60%. So there's still from 9,000, there's about 3,009 per day, still a high number. Any child that we lose to a hygiene related illness that could have been prevented is just too much. And so we focus on the hygiene part of it. But we also do certain schools and programs. Well, we have a shower trailer program. We're now becoming the largest provider of free showers in the US. We've got these custom-made 40-foot trailers that have individual stalls, and it's completely self-sustained, that goes throughout the county and provides showers. And then we have our micro-lending programs. We have our volunteer program. So Clean the World quickly now, after 14 years, has really grown into, and we've established a social enterprise. So we became the very first B Corp in the state of Florida. Because we became a B Corp, we now have the ability to take on investors, credit lines, because as long as you have a social good, then you can get that designation. And so now that social enterprise can support the foundation as we grow the foundation into our water programs, which is, we're going to share a little bit about that today. In 2013, we became the 23rd WASH cluster with the United Nations, WASH standing for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene. So that is our focus. We also respond to disaster relief. So for example, last year during Hurricane Ian, we took our shower trailer down there. We staged it at the Hertz Arena, where they were flying people in from Cape Coral and letting them stay inside that arena. They had about 1,400 people staying in that arena. And when we arrived, there were people that hadn't had a shower in over 7 days. And so, to be there, to be able to provide showers, and, for us, we've seen where people get a shower and it just changes them. It restores their dignity and allows them to maybe go talk to somebody about treatment or applying for housing. But really quick, before we go to our WASH program, I wanted to share our original mission video that we did in 2009, and it shows you a little bit of the collection, the recycling, and the distribution of the soap.
Every day, 9,000 children worldwide will die. Not from AIDS or violence, but from treatable illnesses.
Pneumonia and diarrheal disease are the two leading causes of death amongst children worldwide. Annually, they kill more than 2 million children under the age of 5.
The solution doesn't come from expensive vaccines. It comes from soap.
Clinical studies show that the use of bar soap can dramatically reduce those deaths, anywhere from 30 to 65%. Even more incredible is that today, around the globe, hotels will throw away more than 2 million bars of soap.
But how do we get the soap to those who need it most?
As I sat in another hotel room, I asked myself a question. What happens to that soap and shampoo when I'm done using it?
Clean the World found the solution. By taking the soap we throw away and putting it through a simple recycling process, we can change history in our lifetime.
We went to hotels and explained that we have a unique recycling program, one that takes partially used soaps and bottled amenities, sterilizes and recycles them. However, it doesn't stop there. This recycling program has a life at the end of it. And right here in our local communities, our underprivileged and homeless do not have access to the basic hygiene items that can keep them healthy.
Is it possible that something we throw away can save a life?
We had this 900-room hotel that needed a place to put its slightly used amenities, and it just felt like it was a match made in heaven.
We are leading a global hygiene revolution. Volunteers are the catalyst for our recycling and distribution processes. Corporate teams, churches, schools, and other organizations provide the vital assistance every day to help those in need.
Clean the World is committed to saving 1 million lives each year. By working to deliver free soap to those that need it most, we believe we can save lives. As we reach out to the world with this simple idea, we can change history.
Our aim is to divert the needless waste going into our nation's landfills, recycle it, and at the same time, bring hope to millions around the world.
The opportunity is here. Come, be part of changing history in our lifetime.
So that's how we got started, out of a one-car garage 14 years ago. And it's just been amazing between the hospitality industry and the many volunteers that come to our facility. We're located down on Land Street in East Bottomley Creek. It's where we're headquarters. We also have a soap museum there. So if you ever come down and volunteer with your family, you get a nice tour of the soap museum that tells the story of soap. And then at the end, you see us in the garage there scraping soap. I say that the two most important people in this mission are the housekeepers, who to me are the unsung heroes in hotels, right? They work really hard to make sure those rooms are beautiful when you check in. And so by them taking that step of collecting it, and then the many volunteers that come into our facility and help us sort the soap and box the soap. A lot of the work jobs we have at the facility are actually manual jobs. And so we have student groups that come through. Because we were on the show Dirty Jobs in December, this summer, we had a lot of folks from out of town that were coming on vacation and said, hey, let's go to Clean the Road and check it out and volunteer for a few hours. I forgot to mention that on our Fresh Start program, which is our mobile shower program, and Catherine remembers we were there at the Salvation Army for a little bit, providing showers to folks. We now have 2 of those in California. We've got 4 of those in Nevada, Colorado, Seattle, and then here in Orlando. So if you see a big trailer that says Hilton Foundation on it, that was a unit that was sponsored by our friends at Hilton Foundation and some others. And so it's a public-private funded program, right? The county gave us the money to build it, and then Hilton sponsored the ongoing operational costs. But anybody really can sponsor it and then get their logo on our unit. To help keep that process going. I would love to have all of you come down sometime to Clean the Road and volunteer. We are there Monday through Saturday. We do 2 shifts in the morning, 9 to 11, and then we do 2 in the afternoon. And it really is a lot of fun. We can accommodate up to 80 people. So if you've got a large group that you want to bring down to volunteer, I invite you all to come down and see all the recycling and see the process in action. But again, for me, this has just been, at the end of the day, I just kind of gave up trying to figure out, why this wasn't going to work. And I just feel like that's what God put us on this planet to do. And so still a lot of work to do. But we feel that we're in a good place for the future. And now as we move into not just soap, but providing water, right? Because soap and water is like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. And so if we can start bringing some clean water to villages so that the children have clean water to wash their hands, we partner with folks on the ground that are going to provide the educational piece of it. And so I'd love to bring on Lorette here, Ms. Lorette Serkin, our Business Development Director, who's going to share with you our water projects and what we're hoping to do in Uganda.
Oscar? All right, so while he's talking about the volunteerism, we left these pamphlets on all of the tables. There are 2 QR codes inside, just to let you know. If you're interested in volunteering, there's a QR code inside. This will take you to a link. We are very unique in that we take volunteers as young as 8 years old. A lot of organizations require people to be 18. So if you're interested in involving your families, it's a great way to do that. It's an amazing experience. We put on lots of music, put everybody to work, and it's a great experience. On the back, there's one to donate. So let me get started. Let's see. All right, so where's my thing here? There we go. All right, so as Oscar was alluding to, obviously we got to start in soap and soap recycling, but you can't do a lot with soap unless you have water to do that. So some of the global programs that we've started are in Uganda as well as the DR. We're moving into Peru and Guatemala and some other places in Asia and around the world. One of the projects that we're really hoping to gain your partnership on in a global grant is in Uganda. As you may know, Uganda is a medium-sized country in East Africa. It's got a population just shy of 50 million, but close to 75% of the people that live there live in rural areas. and they struggle with access to clean water, latrines, and hand washing stations. It's a significant issue there, leading to water-related health issues, as Oscar talked about, things like diarrhea, cholera, and typhoid. So one of the things that is important to us to help out with is that almost 50% of the people there don't even have access to basic drinking water services. Less than 20% don't have access to basic hand washing facilities, including the soap and water. As Oscar mentioned, we send out almost 400,000 bars of soap every 2 weeks. So again, that's what they depend on our volunteers to help out with. Another less than 20% of the people there in Uganda don't have access to basic sanitation, which leads to their diarrheal diseases. At Clean the World, we have a vision of a world where people have people are healthy and thriving because of their improved access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene resources and services. So back in 2018 and 19, we did get access to a global grant, and thanks to that grant, we were able to build a water well there in Uganda, in a small city called Tororo. This grant gave us the ability to give the people there, it was a small community. We got about 12,000 folks this access. Clean Rotary International approached us. There was a gentleman named Samuel Arori. He was going to take a position, but unfortunately he passed away. And so Rotary International approached us to memorialize him in this particular community. It was our pleasure to do that. And it was so successful that they've asked us to replicate that in another 5 parishes. We saw tremendous success, and we were able to bring this community an amazing amount of success. We provided 9 months worth of WASH education. There was a 40 to 50% drop in WASH-related diseases. The mortality rate of children under 5 decreased, and the population increased 10% from 26,000 to over 28,000. Here, keep up with myself. And then this community was also uplifted from a trading center to a municipality. So you can understand how we would want to go back to this community and be able to replicate this for this community. Here we go. Unfortunately, in places like these, we were able to go back and analyze what they have and what they don't have. In these 6 parish communities, 5 reported that their previous water systems had failed, that they now rely on seasonal boreholes, which for 3 months out of the year, twice a year, the water wells are totally dry. So obviously, women and children are the ones that bear the burden of walking almost 5 miles at times to go and get water, which obviously we don't have to deal with that situation, but thinking about what that would be like is absolutely awful. I don't know that I would want to do anything like that. And if you think about that, I don't think you would either. The other thing that we found is that there's only 1 community water tank for water storage and treatment. And of the almost 200 students in these 6 parish schools, they reported that they had no safe drinking water at their school, and they almost all of them reported a high rate of negative issues surrounding their current sanitation infrastructure. So I have 3 children of my own, and thinking about them being at school and being in these situations, it's very difficult to think about what that learning experience would be like. One of our other priorities is menstrual hygiene and management. And so if you're a young lady and you get put in these situations, a lot of times you end up missing school, your attendance goes down, and their educational opportunities also plummet. So that is definitely a high priority of ours. As you can see here, you can just tell from this photo that drinking from a borehole or a well like this would obviously lead to unsanitary conditions. So these are some of the things that we want to work with the community to repair. Some of the things that are important to us when we go to a community is establishing what we call water committees, establishing water champions so that they can have people to ensure the maintenance of the water wells. That is important to us. It doesn't make any sense for us to go into communities, repair water wells or latrines, and then when we leave, they stop working. So we not only go in and establish the water, but also make sure that they know how to maintain them so that when we leave the area, that they are maintained and continue working. This is a photo of what their latrines look like and how defunct they are. So that is, again, one of the main reasons that we would like to repair them. All right. So over the next 5 years in this particular place, we would like to go in. We are training in 6 different schools as well as the health centers there, so that when women go in to have babies or when there are surgeries or other things, that the nurses and doctors there have the ability to work in safe and sanitary conditions. We will build improved latrines and provide water access near all of the schools to help improve the conditions there. We'll also be training women and girls to sew their own menstrual pads so that they can create reusable ones. We'll also help them establish small businesses within the schools and local communities. We'll also educate teachers so that they can create a better experience for the women and girls in their menstrual experience, and take away some of the stigma that exists for the women and girls there around that menstrual time, because they have what they call some myths around the menstrual hygiene experience. Let's see what else. There's about 50 to 60 elementary school teachers that we teach in the Washington Schools curriculum, 10 to 20 health center staff, and then hand washing stations, latrines, and other hygiene experience. We educate the teachers, the school staff, and the community members to have an overall better experience once we leave. So here you can see what those steps for success are: WASH education, menstrual hygiene management, a better health center experience, a water user committee, and a WASH champion. Everyone has a right to clean water. That's one of our visions and one of the things that is key to our success. We need your help, so we hope that you can help partner with us to strengthen our efforts to improve the lives of vulnerable communities and everyone who deserves equal water and equitable access to water, sanitation, and hygiene. We know that's one of your pillars, and we agree with that and hope that you will come alongside us and help. Thanks very much.
That's nice. Yeah, you guys are thinking of questions. I must tell you, 2 of you are way too modest. Tell us how many countries you might have operations.
So correct. So we quickly grew in 14 years. We've got a facility in Las Vegas, Canada, Amsterdam, Hong Kong, Dominican Republic. We're hoping to get into the Middle East and into China. And so again, in 14 years, it really has grown. But we're able now to establish ourselves in an area where there's a lot of hotels where we can collect the soap, recycle it, and distribute it to that within those countries that have very poor areas. So for instance, in the DR, we're in the Punta Cana, where there's a lot of hotels, but also there's the border of Haiti. It gives us an ability to get the soap into the countries and to the people that need it. And so from a cost factor, it's a lot cheaper to collect the soap, recycle it, and distribute it there than sending it from the US. So great question.
In your program in Uganda, I noticed that you had the Rotary symbol on several of the things. What is your connection with the Rotary clubs in Uganda?
So like I said, in 2018, oh, sorry. In 2018, we started a program through a global grant at that time. Our former executive director is a Rotarian in DC, And our program manager in Uganda is a Rotarian through a club in Kampala. So at that time, like I was saying, the Rotary asked us to put the water wells there in Kampala.
Which Rotary Club he sponsored?
DC. It was a club in Washington, DC. Washington, DC.
You did not have a foreign club?
The one in Uganda, in Kampala. Yes.
I noticed there's not a place in shows that if you code.
Yes, yeah, on Main Street.
Which is incredible. How difficult for you to get into countries that have particular political systems that seem to reject anything that comes from the West?
It depends on the country. You know, with Haiti, we have some difficulty. But in the DR, we have great program managers that work with the local municipalities. In Uganda, we do the same. And that's why I think it's important for us to have people in country who can make those kind of connections with the local governments. And we can't do our work without the support of local municipalities. So that's integral to our program. Otherwise, our work doesn't really matter. You know, otherwise our systems won't hold up the way that we do. And so that's a key part of what we do.
Do you have other partners besides Rotarians in Uganda?
Yes, so the particular program that we are working on and hope to launch very soon, we work with the Ugandan Water Project. They're partnering with us in this particular water project, as well as the Diocese Church of Uganda. They'll be helping us with that.
Any other questions? Before we go, I think it's in November. We have a couple from Australia, returns from Australia. We do with providing water in Africa, so it's going to be a company. See, do some partnerships.
Two questions. Have you seen hotels moving to liquid soap?
Yes.
And, well, I guess three. What is your revenue source?
Mhm.
And is that coming from hotels that are just participating in your program?
So that is correct. So the hotels pay on average 55 cents per room per month. That covers everything. It covers the shipping, the boxes that we provide, the training of their staff, the recycling of the soap, the distribution of the soap. So that little 55 cents per room per month does have a significant impact. And then what was the rest of your question? The bulk amenities? The liquids, okay. So yeah, when we met with the American Hotel Lodging Association, they had asked about what we were gonna do when the hotel industry goes to bulk. And that was back in 2009. So we've had that in the back of our mind, that at some point hotels are gonna try to move away from the bar soap to the bulk amenity. The good news is that we are able to recycle the plastic. So if the hotel has an interchangeable bottle, we can recycle that plastic and actually upcycle it into another product. But we are seeing where more and more hotels are going to the bulk liquid amenity and they're not providing the soap anymore. And so we think there's probably going to be a soap shortage within the next 5 years. The good news is that right now, just the big major brands are doing that switch over. We already have 8,000 hotels participating worldwide. There's over 60,000 right here in the US. So there's still a lot of opportunity for hotels to come on board and help us with their soap, especially here in Florida. You know, we'd like to see a lot more hotels here in Florida join our program. But yes, the bulk amenity is a big deal for us. And again, if it's interchangeable, we can recycle it. If it's a refillable dispenser, then we never really see it because all they're doing is filling it up on site. But the good news is that particular plastic, we can sort it by its grade and send it to our third party who then extracts the liquid, takes the liquid, turns it into floor cleaner, and then once that plastic shreds it, grinds it, and then gets turned into pellets. And those pellets can be used to incorporate in other products, including wood, or we can just upcycle that plastic into a new product. And so our hope is that at some point we can do that upcycling, you know, ourselves and maybe sell a product back to the hotel So that we can say, hey, this is your plastic and this is what we turned it into. And by the way, the hospitality industry has been sustained, green focus for a very long time. And so they have now positions and teams of people that focus on sustainability within the hotel. So it's become a major thing, especially with the new generations coming up that are so focused on green and sustainability, which is what got us inspired in 2009.
Thank you for the information. I love the project. I think you slightly answered my question though with Jason there, that the liquid soaps, you mentioned something about turning them into floor cleaners. So is that your angle to recycle that?
So right. So the idea is, can we produce a product or an item that then we can sell to raise funds for the foundation, but specifically to be able to tell our hotel partners, this is what we're doing with your plastic. We've thought of everything about doing something with that plastic, like maybe chairs for schools or desks. How do we take this product and either help somebody in need with it, that we can provide it, or use that to sell the product back to the hotels? Because we think it makes a great story that, a GM at a hotel can say, hey, we turned your bottles from your room into this. And what a cool story.
Oscar, last question, if I may. Dirty Jobs. Was featured on Dirty Jobs. Do you think this is a common operation? You don't get we gotta watch it. Is Dirty Jobs, is it see what you go through?
Yes, so it's streaming on Discovery Plus, season 10, episode 1. It's the second half of the episode. It's soap recycling. And, I was pretty impressed. I thought Mike Ray, there was a little bit of Hollywood magic, that he can do all the jobs, but no, he does all the jobs. And he spent the entire day with us doing all the jobs. And so, I really a little promo that, clean the room is a tough job, but it's also a dirty job. And Mike was just amazing to work with. And, he does some other projects, but he left our facility, jumped in his car and was headed to Miami to film another episode. He's on average on the road like 6 months out of the year. So if you get a chance, season 10, episode 1, Dirty Job, streaming on Discovery Plus.
Guys, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, a little parting gift for your time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This out of your way here.
How cool is it to see such great work in those photographs? Work that Rotarians do each and every day, partnering with amazing people. A little bit from us goes a very, very long way.